Hey, so you're gonna hear some poor audio quality throughout this video. What happened was I unplugged my webcam, I plugged it back in in doing that, it shifted the microphone away from my actual quality microphone and onto the webcam microphone. No idea why it does that. Technology is super annoying, but that's the way it worked. I accidentally recorded this entire video, and I also recorded the Gerald McCoy video that I'm gonna post tomorrow. I recorded them both at the same time. Now the audio quality is terrible on both, so sorry about that, but hopefully you can bear with me and still enjoy these videos. So the Dallas Cowboys decided to re-sign Amari Cooper, which I do think actually makes some sense. They're giving him a 5-year, $100 million contract, which, for one thing, I just appreciate the simple math of it all, the 5-year, $100 million. That makes things very easy for me to figure out. And, it's getting talked about. Is it an overpay? Probably. I mean, it probably is a little bit high. I mean, he's literally the second highest paid wide receiver currently. He's getting more money than Michael Thomas. So, definitely just in that aspect, yes, he is overpaid, but that's also just part of the nature of when you reach the market, you get paid more than maybe you even quote unquote deserve. So, that's part of it. And the reality is, Dallas was going to lose something regardless of what they did. I'm going to get into the film study in just a second of what I like about Cooper, but regardless, they were going to lose something. They were either going to lose Amari Cooper, which they gave up a first round pick to get, or they were going to lose some cap space by probably having to overpay Cooper. Cooper had all of the leverage in this situation. So I'll say I like this re-signing, even though I do think it's an overpay. I think you were going to lose something either way. And I do think Cooper is good. Like, I do like Amari Cooper. I don't think he's elite, but I think he's still very good. And let's take a look at this play, for example. First things first, you notice he's moving up to the top half of the screen, which signifies that it's going to be man coverage, and it is, as that's the route that Cooper is going to start off looking like he's going to be running, but he's actually then going to run downfield. And you see Cooper do this a lot, where, he doesn't tend to run very basic routes. He'll get very creative with these routes. Dallas uses him a lot better than Oakland used him, quite frankly, even though I definitely would say that John Gruden is a better overall X's and O's guy than Jason Garrett. I think Dallas just used Cooper better, which give them credit for it. Because what makes Cooper so good is his route running. Notice how when he starts off this route, you see Jair Alexander, he totally is buying this fake right here that it's going to be a route to the flat right there. I mean, so much so that he's kind of getting a little excited, saying, hey, maybe if Prescott doesn't put too much zip on this ball, I can jump in front of it. I can get a pick six right here. That's a possibility. So I'm going to make sure I close in and try to allow that to happen. And also give credit to Dak, who's doing a good job of turning his body to make it look like he's going to throw it in that direction. He's helping sell this fake. So when Cooper does run upfield, he is wide open. And honestly, if that one was just a little bit better of a ball, that could have been a touchdown. But either way, that was still just it was still a good throw and a great route by Cooper. That's what Cooper can do, and that's what Cooper can do with consistency. He's doing this all the time, which is what makes him a very good receiver. It's why he has had such a significant jump since coming over to Dallas. I mean, he, had a really good 2016 season with the Raiders, 1,153 yards, which is just shy of his best season, which was last year with 1,189 yards. So he has had years like that with Oakland, but it seems like he really found his groove with the Cowboys. Also, one more just kind of interesting note is that since coming over and playing for Dallas, he has 3 games in which he's had over 200 yards. So he definitely is capable of just completely taking over a game. This play is another example from the game last year where he had over 300 yards against the Packers. It's once again a one-on-one matchup, and that's going to be the route that he's starting off running. And as you see right here, I mean, he does a great job of running this route. And that's part of what makes Cooper so good, is that when he runs the beginning portion of some of these routes, he does such a good job that he still gets open. I mean, if that was just his route, then Prescott could fire it in that direction and try to make the throw. And so, if you are an opposing corner, you're going to make sure that you hurry up. You have to try to come back right here and make a play. But when that happens, Cooper is able to turn back. And again, I mean, that's just completely wide open. Also, again, not a perfect throw, but Cooper is able to make the catch. So, his double moves, him being able to make several moves on a single route, is what makes him a great receiver. Not elite, but great. And I do think that Dallas used him very well. Like on this play, it's going to be a cover one play, and that's going to be his route. And so, I mean, it's a route where at the beginning portion, it's going to look like it's just a quick route to gain a few yards, but then he's going to try to run deep, and obviously once he does run deep, it will be a one-on-one matchup. And so after the ball is snapped, you notice that Cooper runs in, and, this is pretty good coverage. If you're a defensive coach, this is what you would want your corner to do. You would want him to play tight coverage like that, not allow Cooper to get too open, so if Prescott does fire it in there, then he can just put his hand in and knock it away. But Dallas knows this, so Cooper is then able to easily just run by him, and he's fast enough that he can get open. He makes the catch and even makes a couple of moves and gets into the end zone for a touchdown. So that's what he can bring to the table. When Amari Cooper is on, he is as good as anybody in the league. Now, he's not on as consistently as Julio Jones, as some of these other guys, which is why he's not as good as them. But when he's on, he absolutely is capable of taking over a game. We've seen him do that several times with Dallas. I still remember his Week 14 overtime victory game against the Philadelphia Eagles, where he had over 200 yards, where, that's just kind of what he was able to do. Just took over the game. That was really the dagger. He also had 3 touchdowns in that game, and that was really the dagger in them winning the division. It didn't officially clinch it, but it might as well have. Also, one correction. I said he had 3 games of over 200 yards. He actually had 2, but he had one of 180 yards as well. So, slight correction there. Not like that really changes much. Still, proves my point, but just, important to be accurate. Anyways, one thing that I do have to bring up, though, is, yes, he was so great against the Philadelphia Eagles in 2018, but he was not so great against the Philadelphia Eagles in their big matchup in Week 16 last year. In fact, he was actually pretty poor, especially looking at the numbers. And listen, I know you can't just look at the numbers. There's so many things you have to watch. Numbers don't tell the whole story, but if I'm using numbers to talk about what he can do well, I also have to bring up numbers to talk about what he does not so well. I mean, and in that game, there's no doubt he wasn't great. He had 12 targets in that game and only 24 yards. That is not good. I mean, when you're getting 2 yards a target, only 4 catches, that's not a great game. It really, quite frankly, isn't. Like, this play was one example of something that did not go too well for Cooper, where it starts off well, actually. It's a cover 1 blitz. Those are routes that the 2 Dallas Cowboys on the top half of the screen are running. That's Cooper's route, just a quick route. You can gain some yards, but this is actually a pretty big situation to just gain some yards. I mean, this is a 3rd down and 4, so, with about 2.5 minutes left in the first half, Dallas is down by 7. Being able to convert here, get the first down, get some points on the board before the half, this would be huge. And right when the ball is snapped, Cooper is open, runs his route very well, is able to get open past the first down marker. This is exactly what Dallas wants. However, Cooper is just going to drop this ball. I mean, it just went right through his hands. And that forces them to not be able to get the first down on that play, which is that's just tough. I mean, you really would have wanted that first down. There was a couple of failed 3rd down conversions. This one's another one. It's going to be a cover 3 zone that they're going up against this time. And a Dallas player is going to run like that with the sole purpose to just push a Philadelphia defensive back who is deep, further deep, because then Cooper's going to run that route right there where he starts off as though he's going towards the sideline, but then we'll break underneath like that, get into a gap in coverage that will now be bigger because of what the other Dallas Cowboy receiver is going to be running. And again, it's going to work out. I mean, you see Cooper, he's open, not wide open. Philadelphia did a pretty good job of the guys in the middle of staying deep, knowing where the first down marker is. So this will be a tough throw for Prescott to make. He probably will have to throw it a little bit high because he has to get it over those Eagles players, but he can also try to get it through them. So there is a window, but not a giant window necessarily. However, Prescott's throw is a little high, and Cooper is not able to make that catch. That was a tough play. Like, that wasn't something that, like, Cooper should make. Not like the first one I showed you where Cooper, just completely dropped one he should have had. But at the same time, Julio Jones makes that catch. And I think that's what people that are against the contract are going to argue is that, listen, he's not DeAndre Hopkins, he's not Mike Evans, he's not Julio Jones, he's not one of those guys. He's just not quite on that level. And to cap it off, he also had a very poor performance in the biggest game of the season for Dallas. If they win that game, it's an entirely different story of what happens that season. Who knows how far they're able to go, but they lost the game. However, that being said, I don't think they lost it because Cooper, yes, he did play poorly in that game, but they have plenty of problems that they're focused on working on, specifically their interior defensive line. I will be making some videos about that. A Joe McCoy video should come out before too long, so be on the lookout for that one. But even though Cooper is far from a perfect player, and he probably is a little bit overpaid, at the same time, I think this is one of those decisions where the better option was to overpay than to underpay. If you went with the New England Patriots model of saying, "Hey, we'll give you 16 million a year or you can walk," well then I think he walks and then you've wasted a first round pick for nothing and now you have a huge hole in your receiving core. I just think that he is a necessary player for that Cowboys team, and the fact that he can run routes so well is a huge advantage. It allows him to win one-on-one matchups with pretty decent consistency, so I like the move, but that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.